Hey everyone, welcome to Elisa Reviews Outside, where I will someday find my tripod. Sorry that it is so a little shaky. Anyway, I didn't know. I was just watching it back and realized I didn't even say the name and author of this book. This is Only Skein Deep by Maggie Sefton. Okay, I like cozy mysteries. They are a comforting thing that I can go to and I can wrap myself up in a blanket or pretend or muse on all of the knitting projects I could be doing. I like cozy mysteries. This book, okay, it's the 15th in a 16 book series. So you know that whoever has been reading from the beginning has to be pretty invested by now, and maybe a false sunk cost fallacy will keep them reading this book. I kept reading this book because I was so frustrated that a book like this could be traditionally published. So the main character in this, Kate? Kelly. Okay, the main character in this, Kelly, is 9 months pregnant. I'm like, oh, cool. Usually in books, when a woman becomes pregnant, or a TV series, like, that is the end of it, basically. Like, in cozy mystery series, it seems like the last book is always like, yay, marriage and motherhood. So this wanted to be a mystery. It wanted to be a expecting baby book. It wanted to be a knitting book. It wanted to be a marriage book, and it wanted to be a family search book. It was none of those things. None of them. Because nothing happened like on page. Nothing but dialogue. Nothing but dialogue happened on page, and the dialogue that was there was so terrible. So, like, Kelly, it turns out, in the beginning of the book, it has this cast of characters, which has 18 people on it, which is not all the characters in the book. Just, I guess, all the characters that go from book to book. Kelly's boyfriend is named, or partner, I don't know, is named Steve. It's called him husband in the cast of characters, and so I'm like, oh, they're married. And then halfway through the book, it's like, oh no, they're not married. But that doesn't even matter because Steve's been on the page like 2 seconds. I call him Cardboard Man because he's just there as a placeholder. Every single person is there as a placeholder, and it doesn't even make sense why they're there. Like, there's this character that was introduced, I swear, 3/4 of the way through the book, named Dee Dee. And why did Dee Dee suddenly exist? So that they could have a conversation about scholarships, I guess. Why did we need to have a conversation about scholarships? Maybe it will become relevant in the 16th and final book. I don't know. I'm not going to read the 16th and final book. The murder, we don't get to know the murdered or the murderer in this book. The murder happens off page. The finding of the body happens off page. The investigation by the police happens off page. Kelly says, oh, I think I'm going to sleuth, and then does zero sleuthing. She doesn't even, like, research anything. She gossips to some different people who know more than she did. Like, she's like, oh, did you see the funeral for this lady who only got a name like 3/4 of the way through the book? Not the same as Dee Dee. Did you see that her funeral was listed in the newspaper and there was nothing about the murder, just the time and place? And then Geraldine, old lady Geraldine, who isn't in the cast of characters, but from the way that Kelly talks to her, it's like she already knows Geraldine. Geraldine's like, oh yeah, I went to the funeral. I'm like, Kelly, why don't you go to the funeral if you're going to be sleuthing? Anyway, so the murder happens off page. the investigation happens off page. The finding of the body happens off page. The catching of the culprit happens off page. The only thing that happens on page is Kelly realizing that an electrician probably saw something, and then she doesn't tell the electrician that maybe he should go to the police because what he saw might be important. No, instead she calls her friend who is a retired detective, and then he tells the police, and then they call the electrician, and then they talk to the electrician, and then they talk to the then they go to the suspect, and the one suspect, because of course there's only going to be one, and then they arrest the suspect, and then the suspect confesses, and all of that is off page. Okay, so that is the mystery aspect. The baby, so she's 9 months pregnant. Everybody comments about how she is pregnant. She comments about how, oh, baby Jack is running across the soccer field. Every single page practically. And then the birth happens off page because we suddenly get switched to these teenagers' points of views, because even though it was established that there were grown-ups able to take the Kelly to the hospital, and then to contact Steve and take him to the hospital because he was at a construction site. Even though it's been established that those safety nets are in place, no, we've got to have the teenagers who are 15 years old who just barely got their learner's permits drive them to the hospital. Why? Because of storyline number 3, which is, who is Cassie's father? We all know who Cassie's father is. Like, the one scene when Kelly is the licensed adult, and Cassie drives to college because school is out, even though school is not out yet. And anyway, time doesn't have meaning in this book either. But so one of Kelly's friends has a whiteboard or blackboard and has written a math problem on it so that Cassie, who I guess is a math whiz, can solve it. And then he had also invited his professor friend to come, and so that he can help tutor Cassie, I guess. And they're like, ooh. So Greg, I think is his name, Greg tells Kelly, don't they look alike? Don't they act the same? Ooh, I wonder if that could be Cassie's dad. And then maybe it'll be resolved in the next book, because neither of them talk to either the other professor or to Cassie to say, ooh, what might this be? Okay, and what was the other one? Oh, the marriage thing. Oh my gosh. So Steve's not on page enough to do any sort of wooing. They are partners. They, I guess, own 2 houses, and there's a dog at one of the houses and is only mentioned at one of the houses, and we only know that he exists because he gets pet in the morning, sometimes once every 100 pages. And there's no sense of romance between these 2 characters. And then while they are on their one date of the book, which is them at a bar that has a jazz band playing, but the jazz band is like not even described as having very good, like it's not described very well. The music, they say, is good. Somehow is this with a catchy jazz beat. Let's see if I can find, see, I don't even know if I'll be able to find the proposal. Oh, here it is. So I'm just going to start on the beginning of this page, and I'll read through it. Okay, we'll pack extra blankets and stuff in that baby bag or diaper bag so we'll have it covered. Steve leaned back into the booth and gave Kelly a wry smile. Boy, it'll be like packing for an excursion every time we go out the door. You got it, Kelly agreed, joining his laughter. Now, is there anything wrong with expectant parents talking about prepping for a baby? No, but this is like their only interaction in the entire book, basically. This is the night, so Kelly's friends pressured her into marrying Steve. I'll just say it that way. they don't make it sound, the author doesn't make it sound like she did, but her friends did. She says yes. And Steve had already gotten the marriage license before her friend got her to say yes. And he didn't even officially propose. I guess he proposed in an earlier book. And then she's like, no, I don't want to. Whatever. I don't know. So he says, boy, it'll be like packing for an excursion every time we go out the door. You got it, Kelly agreed, joining his laughter. Steve reached into his pocket and brought out a small black velvet box the night before the wedding. I think this is a good time, he said with a smile. Then he opened the little box and held it out for Kelly to see. Kelly caught her breath. A gorgeous diamond ring sparkled back at her, flashing fire in the cafe's table light. Oh, Steve, she breathed. She had no other words. So this sounds like what you would see if somebody didn't know they were going to be proposed to. But this is the night before the wedding, as far as I can tell, because time is a construct and the author doesn't know how to write time very well. Do you like it? He asked, almost sounding concerned that she might not. Oh, yes, she whispered. She looked into his eyes. It's beautiful. I don't know what to say. Steve smiled at his face. Just say yes. He lifted her hand and slipped the ring on her finger. Say you will be my wife. They're getting married tomorrow. Kelly looked back into his eyes, her heart overflowing with joy. Yes, of course, 1,000 times yes. He grinned. Just one will do. Then he reached over the table and brought her face closer for a lingering kiss. End of chapter. Next chapter is the wedding. The very next page. I'll skip to it. And then this, for the readers who have been reading for the last 15 and a half books so far. No, 14 and a half books so far. This is the romantic. Do you take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife? You bet I do. And do you take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband? Yes, I do. Absolutely yes. Then I pronounce you husband and wife. God bless you both. That is the big romantic scene in the whole book. So this book fails on every count. Now, if you want a book that is about family prepping and then the birth of their first child, husband and wife, has a mystery that is not about murder, but is about family secrets, and is also about knitting. This is actually the book that helped me to understand how to cast on stitches. My parents had given me a knitting kit and I could not understand the directions, and at that time there wasn't the big number of YouTube videos or anything like that, so I didn't really have anywhere to go. I didn't know anybody who knitted, but this book called Family Tree by Barbara Delinsky. Now it's been about over a decade since I last read it. I've read it at least 3 times. But I'll just read the inner cover. Dana Clark has always longed for the stability of home and family. Her own childhood was not an easy one. Now she has married a man she adores who is from a prominent New England family, and she is about to give birth to their first child. But what should be the happiest day of her life becomes the day her world falls apart. Her daughter is born, beautiful and healthy, but no one can help noticing the African-American traits in her appearance. Dana's husband, to her great shock and dismay, begins to worry that people will think Dana has had an affair. The only way to repair the damage done is for Dana to track down the father she never knew and to explore the possibility of African-American lineage in his family history. Dana's determination to discover the truth becomes a poignant journey back through her past and her husband's heritage that unearths secrets rooted in prejudice and fear. Barbara Delinsky's Family Tree is an utterly unforgettable novel that asks penetrating questions about race, family, and the choices people make in times of crisis, choices having profound consequences that can last for generations. So this is the author, Barbara Delinsky. This was published in 2007, and it was the first book that I had read that hadn't been assigned, that dealt with, by teachers, that dealt with, race and trauma and family. And like, I just fell in love with the main character and her situation. And I don't know how it would hold up to modern audiences, but I mean, I don't reread books very often, especially in a time when there's like so much to read and so little time. But I have kept this book all these years because it affected me that much. So read this, or at least look it up on Goodreads. Don't read this. I don't know what I'm going to do with this book. It's bad. Anyway, bye.